Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I was sitting here listening to like the first, I'd say, 15 minutes of the video that I made in regards to the Lakers Nuggets game one. I was listening to my reaction for the second time tonight and decided I didn't want to hear myself talk. I want to keep on talking. I have thoughts. So I figured I'd give you guys a midnight Laker chat. Of course, we lost the basketball game. I think I misquoted some stats, and I don't think it was my fault. I think I remembered them correctly. I just think that ESPN actually had them wrong. I think I said I had that we had 10 offensive rebounds given up to the Denver Nuggets. I think I mentioned something like that. It was actually 15 offensive rebounds we gave up to the Denver Nuggets. And there was a few other stats too that I thought probably just needed to be updated. I think I said that the Denver Nuggets had 5 turnovers. I think Jason Timpf said they had 4, so I'm not really sure what the end result was. I don't think I checked it after listening to his podcast, but I've been listening to podcasts since the game ended. I've listened to probably about 4 different 1-hour podcasts. Dude, that's pretty much all I've been doing. It's been fully Lakers on my mind for hours, and I just I'm obviously a dedicated fan, and it's playoff time, and when it's playoff time, you want your team to be on a string. You want them to be confident, and you want to believe that they can compete if they're good enough to do so for a championship. That is, if you're coming in as a severe underdog and you don't have championship hopes, and you run into a 2 seed and you happen to get beat by that 2 seed in the first game, I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. But despite that being our seeding situation, these are not our expectations. Despite that being what the data showed us in regards to the Denver Nuggets, we feel like if we could have avoided the Denver Nuggets, we probably could, have a path to going deep in the playoffs. So the point is, we don't feel as if this is a team that should be demoralized after one basketball game in the playoff series, let alone before the game even ends. And I felt like a lot of what I saw was a demoralized basketball team going in defeated before it started. And it's a heartbreaker to watch us lose a game the same way that we always lose every game to the Denver Nuggets. And, you just want to see your team bounce back strong and try to get the split and get back into the mode of what the playoffs are really about. I don't know the stats on this, but over the course of 30 years, I'm pretty damn certain the Lakers have lost game one and come back and won series. I don't think that that's something we need to be, confused about. Teams can lose game one and win the series. But when the team has your numbers, the same thing I said about the Sacramento Kings and the Pelicans. The Pelicans always beat the Kings these days. It just is what it is. When a team has your number and you see how a game goes and it goes the same way each time, which is not something I don't think I've seen many times, but hey, here we are. You just got to accept that that's kind of what it is, and it's going to take your coach and your team doing things better than they're capable of doing them, more or less, in order to receive the type of results that's going to help you snap that losing streak. And so it's up to them to make that happen. I don't have a whole lot of faith in that, unfortunately. This team has shown me all year long that they could beat most teams in the league, but when it comes to the teams that they struggle with, they don't have it in them. And, if you follow me, I've followed every game this season, all of them, all 83 of them. We've watched them all, including preseason, not including preseason, rather. We watched every game there is this season, every game there is last season, and you just hope beyond hope that this team can step out of the DNA it's proven to be something greater than what they've proven to be. And that is not how things work. It's just not how it works. And so, You hope this is the anomaly where it is. Obviously, if you're rooting for the team, you just have to stand behind them. You don't have a choice. But you go root for the Nuggets, I mean, it doesn't work that way either. So, as a Laker fan, we're just hoping that this is the one time where we could break the mold, where a team could have our number, we could appear to be demoralized and still find a way to win the series. The only way I really see the Lakers being able to overcome Jokic in this Nuggets team is if we start having some luck in the injury department. And Lord knows, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. That doesn't make it so that you defeat this team. That makes it so that you defeat half the team if they lose key players. That's not you actually winning the series. You may be credited the series, but you didn't overcome what was kicking your behind. You just skated past what otherwise could not defend itself in a way that it otherwise would if it were healthy. I'm not asking for that. I wouldn't ask the basketball gods to grant me that just so I can get past a team that I can't beat. I need to beat the team healthy. And if I'm incapable of doing that, then I don't deserve to be here. And that ain't just pride talking. That's just how I would want everybody else to view us if we were better than them. That's how I assumed other teams would have faced us going up against Shaq and Kobe and Shaq and Powell when we were champions. You know, you weren't good enough to beat us, you bow out and get out the way. You compete, you give us your best, we knock you out the way and keep pushing. I'd imagine that's how it felt to be Philadelphia going up against the 2001 Lakers. They didn't have a chance. They won the first game in the series. They stepped over Ty Lue, and we proceeded to step over them. Back then, the final series would be 2-3-2 format, which means you had 3 games in the East Coast before you came back home for Game 6 and 7. We ran straight through Philadelphia, won all 3 of our games in Philadelphia after winning Game 2 in our house. We were better. That's an example of us losing Game 1, by the way. But we were better than the Philadelphia 76ers, and they didn't have a chance, and we knew it. And they had to absorb that. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. So I think that it must be how it feels to be on the other side of that. We are now the Sixers. They are now Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. And we just got to absorb what's coming our way, man. And maybe we get our little Game 1. Maybe we get to step over, a random player on their team. But, like, at the end of the day, you're going up against a much better team than you. And they've proven in the regular season. They proved it in the Western Conference Finals. And they proved it in Game 1 tonight. So the question I have is, as this plays out the way that it looks like it's going to, assuming it goes exactly the way we expect it to, is this good enough? Is this really good enough? And that's that. Only Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka can answer that question. I was listening to somebody say something along the lines of, if you have LeBron James and your team is not good enough, but you're still making the playoffs and still appear to be a contender, that probably is good enough, because the alternative is you probably being very bad. And given the fact that we've mortgaged picks, we're going to be very bad without the ability to, get the best talent. For example, next year is the Cooper Flag draft, rather. Assuming that we don't have our pick next year because we're going to get it this year from the Pelicans, they would automatically get Cooper Flag if we had the first overall pick. Like, your rebuild is going to suck. So you might as well just stay in this space where you appear to be a contender, and if you get the right path, maybe you can go deep in the playoffs. But if you happen to get the wrong team and you're out here in the first round, like, this is kind of good enough for those who don't want to go through the process of a long, drawn-out rebuild. And looking at how teams are, playing in the Eastern Conference, some of those games, looking at like teams like the Trailblazers and the Wizards, you don't want to suck, dude. I understand those who agree with the argument against my point of view, which is maybe we should rebuild. You're going to look bad for a while. The basketball that you're going to witness is not going to be worth watching for a while. And your young players may not be very good. These type of things are real. So maybe we should just be pleased with the idea of being knocked out in the first round with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as our stars, man. But I tell you, as a fan of this team of 30 years, I don't, I don't, I don't think that that works for me either. Neither of those things are good enough for me. And so, it just looks like I'm gonna be unhappy for a little while, man. Whether one way or another, um, because I don't appear to have the capability of making this team adapt to my mentality. I don't think I can make them confident against the Nuggets and play perfect basketball. Um, but I also can't promise everybody who's listening to me that my plan of rebuilding is going to be worth watching for at least another 6 years. The team's going to be much worse than this if I were in position to rebuild the way that I think I probably would choose to. So that's really what it is, man. We're just in a mediocre place. We got a good team, but not a great one. And there's a lot of teams that have to go through this for many, many years. And this is why a lot of teams don't have championships. They go 25, 30 years without getting championships. You get that one ring in 1970, and you hold on to that a memory for all the rest of your life because it really can't take that long. You see the New York Knicks. So for me, it's like I'm spoiled. I've been winning championships since I was a little kid with this team. We haven't had too long of a drought without championship glory. But right now, what we have is a team that we think should be able to reach those heights, but is actually far below that in regards to what they're doing. And it's not fun. It's not fun to watch. So that's really what it is, man. I think our ceiling is not championship right now. I've said that all year long. I thought this team was average, mediocre for a Western Conference team, and I think all things considered, they probably exceeded my expectations, to be honest with you. Throughout the course of the regular season, I thought there was a good chance that we wouldn't even get to the playoffs. And here we are. So there's something to be said for that. But now that we're here, after one game of these playoffs, I don't know how much longer we're going to be here. And my hope is that our team will make the adjustments necessary to make a series out of this thing, because I've always said we could lose the series, but let's gain our respect. But even that looks a little bleak to me right now, looking at how they came into this series and dropped this game in the same fashion that they've dropped the last 8 against the Denver Nuggets. They just are who they are. We are who we are. And every time we see them, it's the same story. And the matchups don't work in our favor. I think the team is hyper aware of that and are approaching these games with that on their mind, more so than doing the effort things and the little things to overcome. I don't think they believe they can execute well enough to beat this team. I don't think they believe they can rebound well enough to beat this team. I think their confidence is leaning on a thread. So if they do play well enough for a few quarters, they're going to eventually make a mistake or two, as their DNA would have it, and then from there fall apart, as Jason Timpf just described. And I don't think they're strong enough mentally to overcome what's in front of them. And I felt that way for a while now. Initially I was saying, let's see the Denver Nuggets. I want to beat the Denver Nuggets and bring on the Nuggets. I was singing that tune about a month and a half ago, but then we went on a nice little 2-week stretch where we proceeded to lose to everybody we struggled with. Golden State, Sacramento. It became a situation where we saw the Denver Nuggets, I think, after that. It just got to a point where you realize after dropping them games that this team ain't built for your confidence like that. And so we had conversations about the switch up in regards to that thinking. And then after absorbing and adapting to that, thinking we end up getting the Nuggets in the first round any damn way. So I got what I wanted after I realized it wasn't what I wanted, and now I gotta try to hype myself up to be a good talking head for a team that's proven to me that they can't do it. They've proven to me time and time again that this is something they need to be avoiding instead of trying to face. And I don't want to lie to the American public, all 500 of y'all, and tell y'all that I believe that this team is going to beat the Nuggets. I didn't even want to make a prediction because that would prove to me that there isn't really a whole lot of hope against this team, when I was raised to believe that there's always hope when you have champions on your team. It's just a different breed of champion you got. This is a breed of champion where they need the mental edge. They need the co-stars that are going to place perfect ball, or else they're not going to drag them to kingdom come, so to speak. And I'm not sure how to view that, man. I grew up on Kobe Bryant. I don't know what to do with that. And so that is my venting session for this particular thought, man. There's a lot of X's and O's things to consider. We've talked a lot about them. Rebounding the ball is so important. And that is where I think we're going to be able to see the true nature of what Darvin Ham is bringing to the table. Will he make the adjustments to make us a bigger, more rebounding team? Or will he sit here in the same way of doing things and ultimately seal his fate? As I tell you right now, I think it's 0 chance he's coach of the Lakers next year if we get swept by the Denver Nuggets. I think we fire him right after series, personally, or somewhere in the offseason for sure. So it's going to be incumbent upon him to make successful decisions. Successful ones, man. And that's hard. That's hard for him because a lot of times, to be honest with you, he believes in stuff that doesn't find great success for him. And I guess he hopes and wishes that this will be a new time for those choices. And, 3-guard, 4-guard lineups, Taurean Prince big minutes. Like, these are things that he puts his career on. And, they need to yield the results that he hopes they will be. They need to do that. If he's going to continue to go to those choices, they need to work. And evidence has shown me personally, to watching every game, that they rarely do, especially against the elite of the elite. It doesn't work, these things. So I'm just poised to watch him choose, and as he chooses, I find frustration, just like the rest of Laker Nation. We want to win. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You want to win. I think if Darvin Ham truly wants to win, he will take some of his decisions and reconsider before the next game. You know what I mean? Rui Hachimura needs to be given a different role in this series. I understand defensively what we're doing, having him guard Jokic. That might be our best bet in certain situations. Let AD play off the weak side, make it so that Jokic is not banging up against AD too much. We saw Jokic in the paint against Bron. He shoots over Bron with ease. He's just too big for Bron. We respect that. Rui might be our best bet. But on the offensive end, we got to get Rui more touches, man. He's one of your most efficient shooters. And I told all y'all many times leading up into this series, and I think I'm in a severe minority when it comes to this. I don't think the defensive end is where you need to beat the Nuggets. I really don't. I don't think you can stop the Nuggets with good defense. I don't think you can stop them from executing well. I don't think you could break their spirit in any way on the defensive end. You need to focus on scoring more. And we're still trying to do certain things. I felt like we doubled Murray a lot of the time. Murray can pass. Murray is a secondary playmaker on this team. And if he didn't have Jokic, would be your primary playmaker. Probably average over 7 assists himself. So doubling him, that doesn't work. Doubling Jokic, that doesn't work. Why are you doubling these people at all? Save your energy on that end. Execute better offensively. That's where you're going to win. And I listen to people say, we all know defense is going to win this series. No, it's not. It's really not. Because the reality is great defense ain't going to overcome great offense. It never does. Great offense matches great offense. And that's what you need to be focusing on. I thought our offense was stagnant a great deal of the third quarter. I thought some of the choices in shots that we were shooting were awful. Repeated 3-point shots from AD. He didn't hit over 30% from behind the arc. Rarely attempts them at all throughout the course of the season. And we want to turn him into Dirk Nowitzki in the third quarter of a must-win basketball game. We're down by 10. I mean, I thought that was not very smart. That wasn't smart at all. And meanwhile, you got Rui attempting 4 shots, hitting 2 of them. I mean, those are quarters where you need to be running sets to get your most high efficiency type shooting scores into opportunities to shoot where they want to shoot from. That's when you get Rui involved. Simple. Instead of running nothing, literally no plays, and just letting AD just jack up bad threes, how about you run some sets for the guy that barely misses? You know what I'm saying? You're not focusing on the side of the ball that you can control. You can score on Denver's defense. Even though they play very good defense, you can score on them. You can't defend them. You can't. And so that's where I think the Lakers need to shift their thinking. This whole defense beats the Denver Nuggets crap. Your defense ain't beating the Denver Nuggets. Your mistakes on the offensive end is getting you beaten, though. I know that. Your inability to rebound the ball over the Denver Nuggets is giving them extra opportunities to shoot. These are things that need to be shut down. So I really think that the key to all of this is shifting the idea that D'Lo's supposed to get us 30 points and shift that to Rui getting us 30 points. Because at the end of the day, you need someone else other than Bron and AD to come up with 30 points. And if Austin's not ready to step into his confidence, which it appears he is not, then you need to see if Rui Hachimura has a 35-point game in him. If Rui's going for 35 in this Denver series, I think it's a damn good chance you win that game. If Bron and AD are doing what they're prone to do every game. They just need that third person to come up with that production. And it doesn't have to be D'Lo, but it does have to be someone. And so that's really what it comes down to. I didn't focus in on the idea that Gabe Vincent didn't play as much because Gabe Vincent picked up 3 fouls in 5 minutes, and I was very aware of that. But 3 fouls is not 6. 3 fouls is not 6. Meaning we could have played Gabe Vincent a lot more in the second half, and we decided to leave D'Lo out there to rot. And as I've said about not only this series, but the Orlando series and another series as well, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but all of these teams that have multiple choices in guards need to make sure that the right guards are on the floor. And I said it about Darvin in this series. I said it a couple times. If you're not going to get out of D'Lo and Austin what you need, scoring the ball, they're not defending at all. I don't need them on the floor. I can go to Gabe Vincent. I can go to Spencer Dinwiddie. I can go to Max Christie. I don't need to live and die with D'Lo and Austin. Not in this series. And I just felt like Coach in game 1, a very important game, decided, as many other analysts have said tonight, that he didn't want to lose D'Lo mentally because he feels he's going to need him in this series. And I just feel like it's not necessary to think that way. D'Lo's a big boy, And if you win the basketball game, D'Lo feels a hell of a lot better about being benched. And I think if you play those other guards who can help you on both sides of the floor a little more than he's able to on a cold night, maybe you win the game. You can't find out if Gabe Vincent has 15 points to give you if you don't play him but 8 minutes. You can't find out if Dinwiddie has 25 points to give you if you don't play him. These are things that I just think Darvin Ham, he just needs to be smarter out there as a coach. Stop worrying about losing people mentally, man. Start worrying about losing your damn job. Because I'm telling you right now, if we get swept out of this series, you ain't going to have one with this team. It ain't going to be there for you. You ain't got to worry about losing D'Lo. You got to worry about losing his job, fam. And so for me, that's really what it is. I think, D'Lo's confidence, that's not our problem. He's been in this league for 10 years, man. He's going to be a free agent very soon. If he ain't going to play well in these playoffs for the third straight season, then damn it, it's going to cost him more money just like it did last offseason. That is not going to be something that we need to lose series over trying to gain his confidence. He's not a young player. You understand what I'm saying? He's not a young player. I could see if he was 21 years old and you want to keep him on a confident tip so that he can grow into that guy you want him to grow into. But D'Lo's gonna be 30 years old soon, man. He got to figure himself out. He got to look in the mirror and figure it out. He need to, if he has another bad playoffs, he needs to go figure that out in the offseason, man. But it's not gonna be something that coach can keep him on the floor to work through when he's playing like a much lesser version of himself. It's not him being the reason we lose because he plays so poorly on massive minutes. It's not going to help his confidence, coach. I said the same thing to our owner several years ago about something entirely different, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it went along the lines of, if you're going to put people in a position to not succeed, you're not doing them any favors. Just because you don't want to pull them out of that position, if they're down there failing, it's not a blessing to them for you to leave them in that position. And so I say the same thing to Coach Ham. If D'Lo's out there stinking it up, and it's his lack of production that's going to leave us without, how you think that's going to make him more confident? So I don't think that's the right approach, and I think it's too late to already, with the margin of error being so slim. I think it's just one of those mistakes you can't make as a coach. We couldn't afford to drop away at game one. We know that. Everybody who's paying attention to this series know we ain't got but one game to really lose to this Denver Nuggets team before they start improving upon what they're doing. They're going to play better in the next game, not worse. You need to catch them in game one. And so, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not feeling very confident, obviously, but I do think there are some adjustments that can be made, and we'll see if Darvin makes those adjustments. We'll see if he opts to go a little deeper into his bench. We'll see if he opts to get bigger in this series. He went with Jackson and AD for a little bit. I think that gives him the best chance to rebound the ball. I think that gives him the best chance to be long and tall, which is important in this series, given the fact that they got 3 6'10" guys or more or higher, taller in that starting lineup that we can't seem to overcome. Aaron Gordon had like 7 assists tonight himself. Like, that type of stuff needs to be addressed. We don't need Aaron Gordon getting off assists like that. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Like, at some point in time, we just need to understand you're letting people step outside of what it is that they even do regularly because of how we're strategizing. So let's make the adjustments necessary and study what we need to study. I think there's a lot of footage of what we've done wrong. 9 games of things that we need to be studying the Denver Nuggets have done over the course of several years now, 2 years straight of nothing but data of where we've gone wrong. somebody in that organization over there with the Lakers has to figure out how to shore up some of those things. If you keep getting beat the same way over and over again, don't you think it makes sense to try to throw something else out there? I mean, I just really don't care for what I'm seeing. And, I'm trying to be respectful, but I really have frustrations as it pertains to the competence of what it is that's running the show right now. We just need, or who it is that's running the show right now. We need savvy strategy now. We need savvy strategy. We need creative strategy. And we need winning to be on the forefront of people's mind, not fear of losing, which is something that we've talked a lot about. And so Max Christie should be used. Jackson Hayes should be used. Vincent and Dinwiddie should be used. And if Austin and D'Lo don't have it, they should be sat. Rui should be looking to score more. And we need not live and die with low percentage shooting at any given point in this series anymore. If we have any shot at winning, all of this stuff needs to be addressed right away. That's where my thoughts are right now. And hopefully Darvin Ham will figure it out. And LeBron James, hope his elbow is okay. Obviously, he fell on that elbow in the fourth quarter. We didn't talk about it in the post-game video, in the reaction. We didn't discuss that, but he did fall rather hard on the elbow. He stayed in the game, but I do think that could affect his shooting, depending on if that's his shooting arm or not. Could affect a lot. Could affect turnovers, dribbling, all different types of stuff. So hopefully he's getting treatment on that if necessary, and hopefully he'll give it a go in game 2. If not, you can best believe we're going to have trouble there. For sure. So, yeah, man, this is a bit of a nightmare going up against this team, especially with all that we are dealing with. It's a lot. The mentality of our players not being confident, the mentality of our coach not being competent. It's a lot, man. We're dealing with a lot, and the Denver Nuggets don't have those problems. They're on a string. They're playing their game. They're waiting for you to make mistakes so they can capitalize on them with confidence. And I just see a very poised and strong-minded basketball team over there, orchestrated by the best, and that's where we're at. So, yeah, man, I wanted to give y'all a little bit of a venting session. I think I've completed it here. I wanted to get all of that out, and now I'll listen to this. But I thank everybody for watching BDL 44, and I'm out.